remember one of my first visits, and the Snefru being the biggest rig we had in the field at that moment in time. And I came to the rig. It was chaotic. There was hardly any place free on the deck to put anything.
It was a brand new rig, straight out of the shipyard. It was quite a challenge. These people on the rig had never worked offshore before.
Actually, we were becoming a bit quite desperate towards the end of 2010 what to do. We were very close to actually breaking open the contract.
We were either talking about, should we let the rig go, or can we do something about it?
At the same time, I was invited by one of the first incident-free leadership team workshops here in Doha. So I went back to our own manager. So listen, I think I have the vehicle to turn the Snefru performance around. Everybody had to change his mindset. It's about empowerment, giving people power, control over their own safety, but also about leadership, change in leadership. We carried out a survey, and I tell you that is one of the most, that was the first big eye-opener in this whole exercise. Because the one thing that stared in my face when I saw that survey report was something about fear. And I could not believe it. I simply could not believe it, but there was fear on the rig, fear amongst the contractors, but also even fear about my own people on the rig, talking about safety, reporting safety, and raising incident reports.
It became evident and somewhat distressing to hear stories that people, third parties for example, were frightened to go to the Snefru. They felt unsafe working there.
The workforce on the rig, they were the first ones to change. It's their limbs in the line, but they're looking for help, they're looking for leadership, they're looking for support.
And we took the additional step of hiring 24-hour coverage of 2 independent safety advisors to be on the rig, full-time.
We organized a whole bunch of workshops, and we would actually share our vision on incident-free and try to take away that fear factor. Tell the people that they are empowered to take control over their own safety.
And we went through a bad patch when relationships with management, both on the rig and in town, was not at its best. Basically we said, right, we need an alignment on how we're going to continue. Let's get all the Danish expression, put the smelly fish on the table. So basically people were very frank.
People had to do a 360. For all the leaders, including myself, down to the supervisor on the rig, asking your employee what he thinks about you.
This really forces you to step out of your comfort zone and be the leader you're supposed to be.
And that just opened up the doors, and it really changed the atmosphere of the working relationships.
That, to me, is a fearless environment.
I never ever seen a junior staff stop the senior staff while they're doing something wrong, except here on Snefru. I have seen one of the cleaners, he stopped the company man because he forgot and he was wearing a metal watch in the main deck. He just stopped him and explained to him the hazard, and the company man, he acted well, he thanked him and he take it off.
Sometimes these conversations in the middle of our jobs lead to improved efficiency, and it happened recently where one of the greenest hands on the rig came up with an idea. Can we get the boat to do this or that? And we looked at each other. The guys that have 30 years experience looked at each other and said, "What? That's probably going to save about 6 hours of rig time, which is $60,000 in our business." So the more communication that we can draw out of these people, even the inexperienced ones, sometimes can be very beneficial for our operations, and also it's essential that they're not afraid to speak up.
I think the best example that we had actually on how we changed our mindset was the incident with Kieran, where he fell down from one level on the platform to another. I was extremely lucky to actually survive that incident. A typical reaction would have been to fire him because he didn't follow procedures.
It's this whole incident culture where we try to figure out who did it wrong had to change.
We failed Kieran. We failed to identify to him the risks associated with that task.
And the whole reaction and his feedback to us and the crew was that we actually cared about what happened with him. And he was back on the job 6 weeks after.
Personally, I think there's a feeling of pride, but there's also a feeling of accomplishment. That it looks like the thing that I've struggled with for more than 30 years, but never really, maybe even want to admit, that I feel better in control. To be honest, managing safety could be very frustrating in the past. It actually has become fun now. I'm now reading stop card reports, which also recognizes good behavior. And it's fun, so you can share the learning much easier now.
There was a lot of fear before, and people wouldn't speak up because everything was turned into an argument and used against people. So I think what at least what I saw when I was out there was they were extremely open, and they would come directly to me and ask questions. That's the biggest difference in this program than any other. It's really to change the people's mindset rather than change the numbers.
You could feel it, you could sense it in the air. It was totally different, and that manifested in smoother operations, better understanding, and a clean and safer, much safer working environment.
You would see actually good housekeeping, but also you would people taking responsibility for the whole rig, not just for their little bit. I think that's the most striking picture I can draw, is what is different in the snaffle. Yeah? And people engaging, people interested in these sort of people taking care, people talking about a family. The word has been many, many times used.
The motivation that have actually driven the whole thing was the strong will that we simply refuse to accept that hurting people is okay in our industry.
I talk to people differently. Means suppose any unsafe act, I call one people and separate and explain to this way is safe, this is not safe.
Safety is not only to implement it on the rig. Basically, I try to implement it on my work and at the same time at home also. So this is basically a good lifestyle, you can call it.
I think about safety even in my car, even in my home.
Now big change for me. Now everything. Now I'm riding bike, use for helmets, everything. Before.
And my wife was also complained about me because I'm always talking about safety.